on the exposure draft of Bank Negara Malaysia BMM and product disclosure sheet of Bank Muamalat, Arrahnu can be defined as a contract where a party, a pledger, rahin, pledge an asset as collateral, mahud, to another party, a pledgee, murtahid, to fulfill an obligor's liability or obligation, marhum B, owed to the pledgee in the event of default of such obligor. The definition of Arrahnu consists of three components in the Arrahnu contract, which are pledgee, pledger, and subject matter. What is subject matter? In other words, the subject matter shall be the collateral, marhum, and the Sharia compliant liability, marhum B, owing to the pledgee. The definition of the Arrahnu by Bank Negara Malaysia and Bank Muamalat, as stated in product disclosure sheet, show a parallel definition which include all the components needed in Arrahnu. Arrahnu products that are stated in the Bank Negara Malaysia exposure draft are physical assets that are used to carry on activities in Sharia compliant, while in Bank Muamalat, in the product disclosure sheet (PDS), the products stated are all types of gold, including gold wafers, bars, coins, and nuggets, which are produced by goldsmiths, gold producers, and gold institutions. Other than that, Bank Muamalat also accept grades of gold, which are 999, 950, 916, 875, 835, and 750. While Bank Muamalat will not accept the blacklisted companies by Bank Negara Malaysia, Consumer Alert, Fraud Alert, and Access Security Alert. So, contracting parties in the Bank Negara Malaysia exposure draft and product disclosure sheet of Bank Muamalat, they use different words. In BNM exposure draft, the word pledger, rahin, is used to refer to the borrowers who are pledged for their loan, and pledgee, murtahid, is used to refer to the lenders who lend their money and accept the pledge for a loan. While Bank Muamalat use the word customer as pledger and bank as pledgee. Next, we move on to question 2, combination of contract in Arrahnu. Based on the Bank Negara Malaysia exposure draft, there are many types of contracts combined in the Arrahnu, which are card, where the collateral shall be liquidated to recover payment of the outstanding debt amount arising for the card. Next, murabaha, tawarud or baina, and istisna, contract for recovery of the outstanding debt payment from the collateral. Other than that, ijarah contract is used when the contracting parties agree to liquidate the asset for certain cases. In addition, other than that, ijarah contract is used when the contracting parties agree to liquidate the asset for certain cases. In addition, Arrahnu with kafala contract, which involve guarantor and guarantee party. Lastly, the contract that are stated in BNM exposure draft is wa'ad contract, which is a promise to pledge in the future and arrangement with takaful contract for the coverage of asset. Next, for Bank Muamalat, based on the product disclosure sheet, there are only 3 contracts combined in Arrahnu, which are tawarruk, Arrahnu, and wadi'ah. Tawarruk consists of 3 Sharia contract, including murabaha, purchase and sale contract, wakalah, and wa'ad mulzim, which is a binding contract. Next, Arrahnu contract, and lastly, wadi'ah contract, where the asset is placed with another party for the safekeeping purposes.
Okay, what are the contracting parties? Who are the contracting parties involved as in exposure draft? The contracting parties in a Arrahnu contract shall at a minimum comprise a pledger and a pledge. The pledger in the Arrahnu contract may be the obligor or the third party. What are the conditions? A contracting party shall be a natural person or a legal entity that must have the legal capacity to enter Arrahnu contract. From the Sharia perspective, legal capacity of a natural person is defined as the capacity to assume rights and responsibilities and capacity to give a legal effect to his action. Among the important conditions are that the person must possess sound mind and the capacity to distinguish between what is harmful and what is the beneficial one. It is the same in the selected institution Arrahnu products. There are two types of a legal capacity that are used in bank muamalat. There are ahliyah al-wujud, which is to get, ahliyah al-ada, which is to al-wujud, divided into such as al-nakisah and al-kamilah. Al-nakisah means capacity for right only, and it is not obligation. Al-nakisah that apply in bank muamalat is a competence of a person to do something with a permission of another person. It is from year 7 until mature. And for al-kamilah, it is capacity for inheritance, right and responsibilities. Al-kamilah is a competence of a person to do whatever things he likes without need of permission. The maturity by brain and mind. Does the selected institution provide info on both contracting parties? Yes. By Sharia in exposure draft, bank muamalat stated that puberty 15 years majority, 18 years for male and 17 years for a female. For Malaysian law, it should be 18 years age of a maturity. Furthermore, for the second condition, which is al-wilayah, it is a guardianship. Authority granted to a person conduct dealings for another people. Okay, move to the next question. Conditions of a pledge items, which is marhun. What are the conditions of pledge items as in exposure draft? Based on the exposure draft of a Bank Negara Malaysia and a product disclosure sheet (PDS), pledge means a bailment, pawn or deposit of a personal property creditor as a security for some debt or agreement. The subject matter of the Arrahnu contract shall be a collateral marhun that is recognized by Sharia, and a liability or obligation marhun B that arise from Sharia compliant obligations and owe to the pledge. What are the conditions required by selected institution? In bank muamalat, delivery should agree by a contract of a pledge. Pledge can be only movable goods, documents of a title, shares, valuables, and the others. And then, is there any form of a receipt or evidence to a presented in assuring the ownership, right, of the pledger to the pledgee? So the pledgee shall be deemed by the pledger to have exercised reasonable care in a custody and preservation of the collateral. Pledger accords its own similar property. The pledger has the power and authority to pledge and assign all the collateral pursuant to this agreement.
During the charge period, bank muamalat will keep the pledged asset and charge a safekeeping fee or ujrah until the redemption or auction of the pledged asset. Even though the pledgee has possession of the pledged item, the pledger still has ownership of the asset. According to exposure draft, Arrahnu expenses are divided into two categories, which are maintenance costs and other expenses related to Arrahnu contract, such as safekeeping, documentation, and collateral liquidation. Customer will pay the repayment together with the gold safekeeping fee based on agreed terms and conditions. Islamic pawnbroking institution has the right to charge a fee for the pledged item. If the owner is unable to cover all the maintenance costs, the pledgee may provide a payment in advance. Any maintenance expense borne by the pledgee will be considered a debt owned by the owner, and the pledgee retains the right to pursue the owner for the payment. If pledgers are unable to pay the amount owing together with the safekeeping fee at the end of tenure, the institution has the right to dispose the gold jewelry to settle the loan amount together with the safekeeping fee incurred. According to Islamic pawnbroking Tawarruk product disclosure sheet, the amount of safekeeping fee charged in interest rate, the profit rate stated in the table is 11.25% fixed annually. The rate charged to the pledger should in accordance with the value of marhun or pledged item and not based on financing, RM 250. Bank muamalat safekeeping fee may be in violence of Sharia principle which prohibit on any interest. The fee is charged based on the loan granted. This will show there are non-Sharia compliance issue on riba. Safekeeping fee indeed to have elements of profit and is not in line with Sharia requirement, which only allows the safekeeping fee to be charged based on costs that are directly related to Arrahnu transaction only. Therefore, there is significant difference between bank muamalat safekeeping fee and Sharia compliance because the institution charge in percent profit rate and based on financing.
Islamic jurisprudence, Arrahnu, also known as the mortgage or collateral. It is described as the possessions pledged as a security for a loan so that the debt will be removed from it if the debtor fails to pay back the required money. So in Islam, the conditions of the Arrahnu are similar to those of an asset in a sales contract, whereby it must be recognized as valuable by the Sharia and be transferable, deliverable, and held by the pledger. Moreover, Arrahnu conditions have expired owing to the expiry date. The debtor can apply to a pawnbroking for 3 to 4 months payment extension. But if the debtor is still unable to claim his value item, it will be auctioned off. Any opposition submitted after the sale also will be rejected. So according to the figure 3, those Arrahnu institutions provide comparable pawn tenure to customer, allowing them to settle Arrahnu within 1 or to 6 months. In addition to the pawn length, Arrahnu institution allowed the customer to ask for a few months payment extension. The length of the extension is determined by the Arrahnu institution itself. However, if the borrower dies or goes bankrupt, the lender should be treated differently from other lender. To repay his debt, he has the right to sell the collateral. But if the collateral is insufficient to cover the debt, he will remain as one of many awaiting repayment from what the deceased man or the bankrupt borrower still possess. The selected institution that we select is the bank muamalat. So, the loan tenure is the time allotted by the chargee to the chargor to settle the pledged property before it's been auctioned off. The period of the pawn financing given by each institution is different from one another, much like the margin and the loan value. So any additional outstanding charge or profit margin must be paid in full to the bank muamalat before the maturity term or on the bank specific date itself. However, for the financing period to be prolonged, the profit rate must be paid every 6 months. If the auction result exceed the customer expectation, the customer may receive the value of the excess fund obtained from the bank muamalat because of the value of the collateral by crediting the excess money into any of their deposit account. Or for a more efficient and easy method, the customer can also continue to obtain the excess fund by visiting any bank muamalat nearby and they will get cash immediately. Furthermore, the customer is liable for the remaining of the auction earning as well as the auction advance expenses. On the other hand, the account holder grant the bank the authority to withdraw funds from any of their deposit account or cash payment for such purpose. So to sum up, the bank muamalat retain the right to deduct the outstanding balance in the customer Arrahnu account from any of their deposit account, and they will be notified and give advance notice to the deposit account holder at least 7 working days before doing so. This is because as the host bank, the bank muamalat has the ultimate authority to deduct any balance that have not been cleared by their clients. So, bank muamalat is a value-driven Islamic bank with the goal of contributing to a sustainable financial environment. This entails developing methods that match their commercial goal with the social and environmental concern. So, according to the findings, bank muamalat is one of the institutions that use the approach of taking various forms of gold as a pledge item to help the clients to make the transactions. Furthermore,
When compared to other banks, the Bank Muamalat provide Arrahnu with the finest product and benefit. However, on the other hand, the Bank Muamalat did not follow the Sharia compliance due to the safekeeping fee. This is because the Bank Muamalat charge a safekeeping fee depending on the interest rate, which is banned by the Sharia. Even though the safekeeping fee are slightly greater than the other company, the Bank Muamalat still remain committed to their initial goal of providing the welfare protections to the low-income individual, as well as opposed to the traditional pawn shops that rely on the interest-based profit model.